Live in New York. I'm absolutely not in New York. I'm in Ohio, but I do like saying that. I'm going to host Saturday Night Live. I feel like
I'm in New York.
this is
I'm
true.
not in New York, actually.
No one even knows where you are. If you are basically where they send people in witness protection, because you are just nowhere. You are that picture of the country where it's the cell phone companies have no coverage. That is where you live.
I mean, wherever they have an event is where I'm at.
That
for
is true.
Weekend.
This is very true.
Who travels more, Joe from War Games Live or you?
Well, that's tough, man.
Definitely Joe.
Yeah,
Definitely
I mean it's close. It's close, but you know.
I need to have a good intro. I'm gonna start yelling "Good Morning Vietnam."
Ooh, I've seen that movie, so I don't think you can use that one.
What do you mean?
So,
I just
how's
came up with
everybody
that.
doing? How's everybody's
we are
weekend?
here.
I'm
Yeah.
Astro.
We're doing great. I think you, my friend, had an amazing weekend as you won what I'm calling the hardest 40-man to win ever.
Ever?
GT. I don't know about ever, but at least this month. How's that?
It was pretty wild. More people than I've seen, more top names than I've seen in a very long time at a 40-man GT. But I mean, like, Mythicos is no stranger to having crazy attendance for these events. They're kind of like Battle for Salvation, where they get these ridiculous amount of people and ridiculous names to go to these events. So I was surprised at some of the names to go, like Innes from Scotland. That was quite wild. But
How did Innes was just randomly there? This is awesome. Why wasn't I there?
I don't know.
They only had good players there, Brad. Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ow.
Ouch. Shots fired.
Oh man,
There was a skill. There was a skill.
There was a
requirement
skill
there.
There wasn't
minimum?
a bar there. That's the problem,
Yeah.
Brad. That's why you weren't there.
There was a height requirement.
What was the event called at Mythicos? Just Mythicos?
No, it was Crumpin
Krampus.
charity event.
It
Grand Crumpus.
is-
Krampus,
Yeah.
Claws, Brawl, Warhammer 40K Grand Tournament at Mythico Studios Maha.
God, what
that
that
one.
is like literally.
It was a mouth.
I don't know what
all
any
the
of those
words.
are called.
All the words.
Yeah, Crumpus
So
Claws Brawl Warhammer 40K. Jesus, that's the longest title of all time. Mythicos,
Yeah.
make your tournaments. Not this is ridiculous.
I mean, if you just look at the top, you had TJ, Derek Apash, Ennis Wilson, Sean Naden, Anthony Vanilla, Tony Phillips, Jeremy Atkinson.
Yeah.
So absolutely stacked.
Also,
events.
who was Innes staying with?
And in a stay with Anthony and myself and Jeremy for the weekend. We all stayed at Mr. Vanilla's house. We played lots of drinking games on Friday and Saturday, and I got yes.
Wait, you drank?
Oh yeah, it was a good weekend. It's tons of fun, and it was stiff competition. I mean, I saw some crazy games. I mean, I saw Anthony lose round one to Tony Phillips with his sisters. I saw Sean lose to Sean almost beat Ennis round two, and then obviously Sean loses that round instead. You know, it was crazy.
And then put it the beats on people after that, apparently.
Yeah, he just went to town. Him and Vanilla were like, all right, bro, so now everyone dies.
Yeah.
Sorry about this.
Between Anthony literally put up 97, 95, 95, 97, 100, and Sean put up 98, 100, 87, 99 after they lost. I'm like, so some people got some wrath after that, apparently.
Yo, the X and 1 bracket after round 3 was brutal. You had Ennis, Vanilla, and Naden all in there just beating the shit out of anyone they came across. It was insane. And then Jeremy went in there on round 4, so it became even tougher. And then it was
Love
just
everything
some
about
ridiculous
this.
stuff. Such a crazy event. It was wild. And then we had Grey Knights in the finals. Undefeated Grey Knights going into the finals, man. Where have we seen this?
Man.
player. It was an interesting list.
So,
yeah, I mean, Derek is a great player. He's done well at a whole bunch of events. and one of his friends does not play Grey Knights anymore, so he decided that he was going to take them for him and play them.
He took.
So-
I like the list on this. He took a little bit of everything. He's got a 1 Rhino, double Dread Knight, 3 Interceptor squads because that's what you do. A little Paladin squad. My
Paladin squad was
my boys, the Servitors.
He had them painted as Mario characters.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
They were like super old, like fucking pewter miniatures, and he just put the colors that would normally be the Mario colors. It was hilarious.
Dude, all I know is that he has Drago, my man, in the list.
Dude. After we were done with the event, he's like, Drago's a must. You got to take Drago.
Yeah, because he's doing Warp Dust.
He is doing Warp Dust. That's the only way he gets to the table. He does the Warp Dust.
Yeah. Everybody knows that Drago's doing the Warp Dust, yo.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy event. I had a blast.
I like this.
All my opponents were fantastic. I played CSM for the first 3 rounds. I played all manner of CSM. Round 1 was Creations. Round 2 was Word Bearers. Round 3 was Iron Warriors. Like, it was just insane.
By the way, that
dude.
Iron Warriors list is like deceptively messed up if you're playing a shooting list. Because that thing can seriously be durable as crap.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was just like...
It was pretty thematic. It was Thousand Suns and GK. Thousand Suns and Flame and Demons in the finals versus Grey Knights.
Yeah, it was quite an event. You know, they picked some good missions. We had only one hold 2, which was round 2, which is Tide of Convergence or Tide of Conviction, which I fucking hate that round. That is just the worst round, dude. It was so bad. Yeah, and I mean, it was pretty crazy. I played the breadth of the fucking meta. Like, yeah, I played CSM 3 times, but then I played Blood Angels, Sisters, and then Grey Knights. Like, if it's any indication of how healthy the meta is, or the fact that if you practice with your army, you can do well, those would be the indications.
But would it be an indication that Thousand Suns and Flamers should get devastated when the nerfs came around?
Devastated.
Oh, the Flamers are getting hit with a brick.
Yeah, I'm doing my part, guys. I'm doing my part.
Oh,
you know,
dude.
It's like recycling. You know, I want to put those guys back on. It looks so nice. I just want to put them back on the shelf. You know.
It's.
I mean, I think pretty well though the fact that you played your army. I mean, you've been playing most of the season, if not almost every game, in a tournament that has. I mean, that's you look at the top 5. You just said Vanilla, Naden, Ennis, Derek, and you. That's an insane top 5. It's if we look at all the top tournaments this year, I think it'd be hard pressed to find a top 5 that matched that quality. So the fact that you went on there and you played really well and you played only meta armies doesn't sound like getting the layups.
Yeah, I mean, so shout outs to obviously my opponents, but shout outs to Tony, who had just the worst run all weekend. You name one of those people in that room, he had to play against them. So he played against Innis, he played against Vanilla, he played against me. The only person he didn't play against was Sean, but he literally played against all of the toughest matches. He played against Derek. Like, it was wild how many games that he ended up playing. So he just had a crazy run. Oh, sorry, he played against Jeremy, not Derek. He played against Jeremy. He played against Vanilla. He played against Ennis. It was insane how many of the top he had to play against. And I was like, you take that.
Dude, talking about the meta, let's talk about one of the things that I feel that no one can agree on, and I kind of want to bring it up here so we can just argue about it.
Oh, okay.
League of Votan. League of Votan went 58% this weekend. 6% of the top 5s. They've got 4 wins so far in GTs. And they literally had a terrible week last week. And I don't know whether, and I play tested with them all weekend. I was at Sniggs' house 2 days, and we literally put a bunch of stuff on the board. We had Votan both days. And that feels like a very polarizing army, because sometimes it feels like, depending on the board and the mission, that they are just derping your army off the board. And then there's other games where it feels like they just don't have any chance. You know what I mean? So I don't even know where they are right now. They have unbelievable damage. However, they play the game a little miserably because they don't have a ton of stuff on the board. And
Right.
and their secondaries are meh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the units you want to take are expensive, right? Like hecatons are expensive. You want to take bikes because it's your only source of mobility. But once the bikes die, that's
We had a couple of things in the game.
That's it.
And because of the bikes we had DeFrank playing them, just at least for instance yesterday, and we're playing against Tyranids, and he was kind of pinned, and he picked up most of the Tyranids by the end of the game, but it was just one of those, I'm behind because if I push out, I get smited into annihilation, but
Yep.
but anything that he can see insta dies because full rerolls, auto wounding on 4s to hit, blah blah blah. So it feels very, thanks Ed, on that. It's just, I don't know where they are, to be perfectly honest. If you said you're playing Votan and you're like, I tabled that guy, and if you also said I lost by 30, I would go, yep, that's exactly what should
That's
happen.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have some very bad matchups. They also have some good ones. I think they're an army that belongs somewhere at the top. I just don't know where that sits. I think they are an army that has some hard matchups. Like it's a rock paper scissors army that has some very rough edges. And another one of the armies that I saw this weekend, and of course a Scotsman had to bring it over, but like, goddamn. Double Tyrant is such a fucking vibe check. Double Flyrant. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Double Flyrant. One with Maw Claws, one with the Reaper.
Dude,
is a fucking vibe.
I actually really like the Maw-Claw Tyrant just because it's hilarious that he just gets 3 extra attacks after he kills
It's
himself.
so insane, man. Like
Can't
we
you
were just
also
like
pop stratagem on it too and give it like D3 extra
Yes,
attacks or something like
he can
Yeah, you
literally
get more
roll in
wounds.
with 6 extra attacks at the end of the game.
Yeah, it is quite crazy how much damage he was doing, and you can't avoid them, right? Because he's playing Kraken,
Yeah,
so they're just
they just
moving
put 25
so fast.
if they want to. The only thing,
Yeah, I mean-
the only thing with that is in it, I actually wanted to play with that a little bit, but it terrifies me that only one of them is overrunning. So one of them has to just kind of stand there going,
Yeah.
"Sup, guys? You guys look like you're real mad about me punching your friend in the face. We should talk about this." So
Yeah, you got to be careful about where that guy moves to. So
I'm gonna go to the. I need to go to the wall real quick because this is really good sum up.
Yeah.
Votan, Death Guard speed with Tau shooting at sister ranges with Space Wolves melee for Custodes prices. Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
it's different
definitely.
sisters, Brad. Are you avoiding a word there?
What's that? I don't want to have to say
So
that.
my opinion on Votan. My opinion on Votan is they, when in a skilled pilot's hands, are very good. As a generic, put them on the tabletop point and win army, which is what a lot of people were hoping they were getting when they did Votan, that's not there. It is very skill based.
I mean, for anyone who wasn't at the event or didn't watch any of the streams, StatCheck played some of those games, and round 3 was the mirror match. It was literally Voltan on Voltan, and you can clearly tell like what that looks like, right? Because Voltan on Voltan, unless you have some like army on army, unless you have some crazy tech against your own army, is skill based, which is why Ogden likes to play Tau on Tau. Loves the mirror match.
Tau on Tau action.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see that kind of stuff when you're looking that like, okay, this is what this army looks like in this person's hands, and this is what this army looks like as someone who took a whole bunch of practice and TTS games and knows what's up. So it was cool. It was definitely cool to see.
Should I throw out my unpopular opinion?
Oh yeah, baby.
I think the fortress is poo.
Oh my
Ooh,
god.
damn, that is such an opinion. That's whoa.
It's if you're playing
I like
UKTC, it's an insanely good model because they have super long lanes of fire. If you're playing GW or even player place, man, it's just
We played GW, by the way. For anyone who wasn't there, it was Games Workshop terrain.
it's a lot of points. And I agree, Lyle. 4 Sagittars where it's at. Just slam in 3 units and split 1 in half of Zergs. I like that army quite a bit more. It just gives you it's just so easy to move block in certain terrains. I get it on UKTC. They literally just fire downtown on those long lanes that they have, and they're super difficult to get rid of. You make them Ymir, you got a 2 up, 4 up, you got a dude just ignoring the broke hair Iron Dick, fucking just says, I ignore one of the damages. And the big thing on that is he ignores whichever one he wants. It's not like the first one you get in Zinch. He just literally goes, oh, cool, I failed 3 bolters. Sweet. How about we just don't take the rail gun that just hit us?
Yeah. Like I said, it's definitely a very interesting army, but it's good because now we know, like, again, that the meta is in a healthy state. If you know how to play your army, you can definitely work around a lot of these issues that people are having with their army. So there was some Tau there, didn't do well that weekend. They had some rough games. Blood Angels doing well. You know, Demons. There were some Demons there. Kurt was actually playing Demons, Brad. So that was cool to see Kurt playing some Demons. Yeah. He's playing double Thirster. But then what always happens. And
he curted it up? Curted it up?
he found Sean.
Oh, that's not good for him.
Yeah, Sean definitely showed him what was up.
The error of his ways.
He's like,
so
oh, you're orcs?
Let's talk about the other big East Coast event that happened.
Let's
the Winter Assault ITC Major at Everwinter Convention.
Everwinter.
So this one was won by Yanari.
Dan won it.
Dan won.
Mm-hmm.
Wolmuth. Casey Glenn came in second with Blood Angels. Sam O'Brien third with Tau. Tyranids in fourth, and Gene Stealer Cult in fifth. Interesting that it's like the meta is, as we were just saying, pretty healthy to where you're getting a lot of different armies in there, you know. And Yanari was quite interesting. I mean, it's an interesting list. I don't know if Brad, if you've looked at it, I know you've played.
Yep,
enough. Correct.
He has a decent amount of everything in there. He's playing for the terrain they were playing on, of course, which is what you should be doing. So he brought the Incarn, which is the entire reason to play the entire reason to play Yanari. Incarn, Farseer, he's got double Rangers, a troop unit of Harlequins, a unit of Witches. Then he's got the obligatory stuff, Striking Scorpions with Crushing Blows on the Exarch, so good. 2 units of Banshees, Warlocks, 2 units of Warlocks. So he's actually got 3 total units of Warlocks to beat. So I don't know what's going on here.
There's a lot of casting.
He's got a single Warwalker. He's got Baby Bird Baharath and a Webway Gate with a unit of Shining Spears, a unit of Swooping Hawks, and a unit of Wind Riders. So he has very little shooting, but he's effectively just got trash shooting to pick up nonsense. And then he's basically looking to punch you and abuse fights first and abuse the gate.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I like that list a lot. I mean, it's similar to the list he won Battle for Salvation with. I mean, you know, some small iteration changes, obviously, because, you know, I believe that every time you play with your list, you can always find something to make a little better, and it looks like he did. He made it better.
Yeah,
and
he's very good with this. You know, and the thing is that a little too many casters for just my taste, but like he plays it very, very well. It's got a lot of ability to punch people, which I think melee is just really, really strong still right now in the meta, especially when you look at your lists that were out before. There's a lot of these new armies, Guard, not even new, but Tau and Votan. You just can't get in shooting wars with those type of armies. They're just going to pick you up. So you got to pick and choose your battles. So you got to start hitting stuff and trying to get 2-for-1s, which is what he's.
Yeah.
Should I go into Eddie's question here?
Yes, please. Yeah. Questions.
So, and Eddie says, everyone says the meta is in good state, but is it kind of boring? Meaning, lots of armies can win, but it's almost always the exact same version of the army that wins. I think that is basically because we're so far into Nephilim. We're basically into the missions, so everybody has figured out what the version of armies that it takes to win with these particular missions. We did the same thing at the end where everybody was taken to the last stranglehold and they built their armies around that. Now we have different secondaries and everybody's building their armies around scoring those and trying to deny others. So you end up getting a lot of armies that look very similar by the end.
I mean,
Yeah,
I would say there. I don't think we're at a state where everyone just copies the same list. I think there's some factions where they have that one list that's just head and shoulders above the rest, but that's not for every army.
No, I'm just saying, like types of armies that you end up seeing a lot of the same because the same army types are gonna be there.
Well, the thing is, like let's talk about Tau for a second, right? You have my version of Tau, you have Ganyo's version of Tau, you have even Fucini's version of Tau over in the UK scene, which is like he's still on Farsight.
Fucini.
Yeah, he's a great player, great person. But you know, and then we're just talking about this list that just got brought up even in chat a little bit ago. There's the last list at semifinals at the GT, we just talked about, is like
He
a whole
brought
bunch of
all tanks, dude. It was crazy.
You know, there's some codexes out there that play in the same way where like none of the armies are the same. Like it just depends. I think I've never seen an edition of the game where we have this much of a variance of codexes being played at a high level that are winning GTs. You know, if you would have asked us, granted the win path on this person in the tournament was reported to be easy, but if you would have asked us if we thought Blood Angels were going to win a super major in the meta of like all these shooting armies, I've been hard pressed to say
GW terrain though, man. It's a big deal. Like there's certain armies, if you play on it, again, we talked about it last week, one of the week. Time is meaningless to me. It's all together. I live it all at the same time. But you're on GW terrain, for instance, because we talked terrain makes such a big deal. If you're on GW terrain and you have an infantry-based army that can move, you can just beat the shit out of some stuff, man. Like those matches suddenly become super easy. Blood Angels go from a pretty decent army to, holy shit, I can't shoot those guys. They're going to be here next turn because they move 14.
Yeah. Brian, what do you think about this? Armies being the same, you know.
So there is some similarities in a lot of the armies. Like, you know, almost every Blood Angel army is the same, but every Tau army I see has some variance. Tom bringing that up is very clear. Thousand Suns, TJ has variances that you don't see that like Manny Chima's playing Thousand Suns with Zinch. Although, yes, the Flamers are all there, but the build of these Thousand Suns part is different.
Yeah, I mean, Vic just won one with 6 bricks of rubrics. I don't even have close to that number.
Yeah. So it's pretty healthy. I mean, yes, you're going to see certain units in like Tyranids. You're always going to see a Reaper Flamer. It's going to happen. You're going to see it. You're going to see Zoanthropes. You're going to see some Tyrant Guard. But the rest of the army can vary massively depending on if you're playing Kraken or Leviathan or Behemoth. So it's one of those things where I think it's actually not in the healthiest state I've ever seen the game, but damn close to it.
Yeah. And what I'll say lastly is like, we are seeing similar armies because things work. And I wish that the codexes had more options that worked. Do I wish that the Zinch part or the demon part of the book was not just flamers ad nauseum with Thirster that never dies? Hell yeah. I would love to see drones on the table, great unclean ones, beasts of Nurgle. I would love to see tons more stuff on the table. But I think it is a sign that the meta as a whole has adapted to figure out what units do work when we take them on the table, with, you know, which units are synergistic with other units, what units are going to make that army really kind of sing. You know, and some armies are easier to do than other armies. Tau have a plethora of options, which is why Tom brought it up. Hey, I have suits. I have Riptides. I'm taking suit heavy. I'm taking Riptides. You know, I've seen some people take Piranhas, you know, vehicles, lots of troops, do all the secondaries.
Don't forget the planes.
Oh, yeah. There's always the plane.
There's always the planes. But then we get to an army like Blood Angels, like you said. What works in Blood Angels? Well, Sanguinary Guard work in Blood Angels. Cool. What else works in Blood Angels? Yeah, I mean, like, so I think in Def Company, Sanguinary Guard, Def Company. So yeah, you might see small variations.
You don't see Assault Jump Pack Marines anywhere else besides Blood Angels right now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, you know, like even my army, like I can sit here and say like, yeah, like you guys were like TJ's list is different. It's different, but the core of the list is the core of the list, right? Start the list with Ahriman, Exalted Sorcerer on disc or with Ether Stride, take 10 Terminators or one larger than 5-man squad of Terminators, and continue until you get to the Demon Detachment, add Flamers, add character, you know, Fluxmaster, Fate Skimmer, all good. So I like that that we have figured this out as a community. And I like that there are still people who are on the edge. There are people who take new armies, tweak their army every weekend and try to make new things and try to make those work. That's fantastic. I just think that, as a wish list, I would love Games Workshop to make our army, make the codexes more in depth. We just don't get that. And certain armies just get that and we don't. Like Eldar.
They actually try. They don't always hit it, but the GW guys have said that their goal is for every codex to have 3 distinct armies that are like tournament playable armies, not just in the basement armies. Obviously, it doesn't always hit the mark, but that is what the goal is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
they've done that with some books. 100%. Like Tyranids have that. Tau has it.
Eldar has it.
Eldar has it.
I'm not saying.
I think GSC kind of has it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but the one thing I want to say is, like, I think we also follow the trend of net listing too much, right? Like, if you'd asked me before this weekend if I thought Yunari was a chance to get up there, and then I had to play a Yunari list at a local RTT because I went to have fun with some friends, and it was a brutal game. Like, I killed this half
Points
this guy's
first is good, man.
I killed half this guy's army, and I was like, this game's just gonna be over. And by the end of the game, I had 2 models left. And I killed 20 out of 24 Harlequins he had allied in. I was like, there's some good stuff. I think we get intensity as a community to net list too much.
Oh, 100%, man.
Brad, look at Tal this season. When I first started playing my list, do you remember people was telling me, no, you're playing it wrong, man. It's Farsight. You got to play the Breach Rush, all this stuff. Like, I'm going to play it this way. I'm not going to focus on the mission. And people thought I was crazy. Same thing with Dark Angel. I just think, like, that's my opinion. I think, in my opinion, when I look at Codex, I see builds that I want to run that most people don't talk about. Yeah. I think some of these books are deeper. I'm not saying my list is better. Maybe that list that's being net list is way better than my current list I want to run. But there's some good options in a lot of these new books. I still think just playing AdMech for most people think that's a dead Codex. I think if you put the book of AdMech in some like top player like Brad's hands, even TJ or anything like that, like it could be a good book. So that's just.
So I mean, I agree with you. I think that playstyles also are what you're talking about as well. Certain armies definitely favor playstyles. And to, continue on this path, let's talk about some juicy information. Let's talk about Frontline Gaming. Let's talk about what we're doing for LVO and what they're doing for LVO. So we got some hot takes incoming for everybody in the chat. If you guys don't already know, Guard, not legal at FLG.
At all.
Well, hold on a second.
Just not the
I
new
can answer that a little bit stronger. As long as Guard is not released by January 15th, that is the rules cutoff date. The rules cutoff date.
Ninja Brad is going to be sniping those trucks before they can drop off that Guard book.
I do not want to, because I don't want what happened last year, which is like where Custodes and GSC come out like 3 weeks beforehand. Now, coming from someone who played GSC at LVO, I wish I didn't. I wish I would have just stayed with these guys next to me and just played what I wanted to. But the allure of a strong army was too much for me. But I want to be as prepared for this event as possible. So I definitely would like to see them not have Guard, new Guard there.
That means that Harlequins are back on the menu, boys.
As someone who is who helps FLG judge events, I'm not an official FLG judge. I got to be very specific about that. They are following what Mike Brandt has been on. If you read any spot where they've talked about Guard in the Codex, and Mike Brandt's commented, his comment has been, Games Workshop stance is that Guard Codex is not legal until their entire Codex and line is out. And as a person who runs events, kind of like they're a little bit that they're taking a stance on that. But as a person who likes playing with the latest and greatest tools and toys and seeing all of it go, it makes me sad at the same time.
See, I'd rather have stuff not in. I just hate before we have real FAQs and everything else, you just get weird rules interactions that we don't have an answer for. Unless we get a universal FAQ with judges agreeing to things. I don't know. Maybe we should again have a judges circuit like we were talking about. That would be fantastic.
That'd be fun.
Whatever happened to what made like ITC big was like their international FAQ we used to have. Why don't we have something like that still?
Yeah.
So I think part of that is that Games Workshop and FLG work together. I'm not saying that they're in anyone's pocket in one way or the other, but they work together to try and present things on a unified front. So they're trying to work with each other. And I have a feeling that if ITC went, hey, I'm going to do our own FAQ, Games Workshop would kind of go, well, then we're not going to associate and do all this stuff with you.
Right.
And as a business, it's probably helpful to FLG to have that alliance with Games Workshop.
Now,
At least that would be my assessment.
I can't go through a night and not have a fucking Games Workshop TJ rant, so we're just gonna get right into it. I am so tired, so very tired of this nonsense where this shit happens every year. Get your shit together, Games Workshop. If you have a book, release it on time. You know when LVO is every year. Like, what are we doing? Like, why do we do this every year? They're like, oh, the book comes out. Like, you have to know. And like, there is an aspect, don't get me wrong, of them going like, yes, you know, supply chain is fucked up. I get it. But like, you knew that before and you still put the release when you put it. You could have just not, and we could have just not done that. And then we would have been fine. So then we have to make these difficult calls that upsets the fan base for literally no reason. Like, just get your shit together, dude. Like, just don't do that.
My favorite is that they have a book and rules out with a code that you can't use on their app and new models. And it's like, by the way, don't play them for like 6 months. Thanks for giving us the crowdfunding.
So as someone who's been playing this game a long time, Brad, you probably remember this. That used to be a rule that a codex had to be out for 30 days before you could play it.
Oh yeah.
That was 7th edition.
Yeah, it was that was the rule. And although the Guard Codex came out at the very end of November, so it would have fallen past that. But it was a limited release. I'm not saying you can't find it, you can't get it, they're not available, but it was a limited release. Games Workshop themselves are sold out of it. They're hard to find in certain areas, I've heard. You know, it is what it is. But like when the Orc book came out, you couldn't find that Orc Codex for a month after that box came out.
Which was insane, by the way, because they put out so many marketing things and commercials and stuff for Orcs. I got so psyched up for Orcs, and they were like, hey, man, you know how you're super psyched up right now? Well, go fuck yourself, because you can't use it. You can't play it. There's no models that you can buy. You're like, yeah, but you gave me this one. Yeah, but it's only in the super special box, and you can only play with these models. I'm like, yeah, but it sounds really cool, and you ran like 87 ads for it. Shouldn't I be able to use it? You're like, yeah, but also here's a bag of dicks. I'm like, I don't want a bag of dicks. I wanted the Orcs.
It's really funny that they
I want to say one thing though.
Yes.
Nassim's in chat. We were talking a little bit earlier. You went viral with him because I sent him the ACO video this morning when I was talking to him, Brad.
Tom can't beat me.
Yeah.
I was talking about how we had to be escorted to the tournament hall because we did not stop drinking all night long, and we didn't know where or how to get to the tournament hall by the time we had to leave for the tournament. So some people literally dropped their armies off at the bar. Like, don't worry, guys, we'll get you there. And they helped carry our stuff because we were a
little drunk.
A little obliterated.
A little saucy.
No big deal. I just enjoy when we got why are you guys posting all these videos? And Tom going, what are you talking about, man? We're not posting any videos. You're stupid. And they just get links to them and go, all right, maybe we posted some videos.
I look at the DOG chat. Brad looks at it like, damn, you posted a lot of videos. We were posting like every 15 minutes to the main DOG chat and didn't even realize.
But yeah,
I had to delete all of them. Some of them were pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm just
some of them.
Yeah, I mean
most of them.
Yeah, I would say it was pretty rough. But yeah, so I mean that is their stance. They are able to take it. It is Games Workshop's game at the end of the day, and Frontline is just trying to respect them as a company because, like you
I
said,
get it. Well,
they gotta work together.
they've had issues though. You got to figure that FLG's been all over the place with that. By the way, we've
Yes.
had a couple different times at LVO when we had last minute things coming in. The year the Demons came in and they just let them in, and I think they were out like 30 minutes or something. And then you basically told the judges, and this is why I get it though, because talking with people like Brian on this, it's like, yeah, that sounds super fun. I do want to play the fun stuff. I want to play with the new toys, but like, then you go, hey, judges, that book that came out 11 minutes ago, you need to be an expert on that so you can make rulings on it for the entire weekend. Are you ready? No, I'm not.
And
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I can say is like it very much, and they put this in all of their stuff, that the balanced data slate, if it comes out by the 15th, will 100% be used. It's available. And then it also says that if it comes out, they may, and I stress may, make a decision to use part of it prior to the event.
How do you use part of it?
They may use all of it. They may use part of it. I mean, that's...
They're like, we're
and
only
I
using the odd
legitimately
pages.
please don't message me. I have zero influence on that. I am not on that level of judging for LVO. I am just a guy who helps out.
Yeah.
Can't wait to run the odd pages, Brian. What are you going to look at? You're going to have to make a ruling on this because my unit starts on page 2 but continues into page 3. Is it legal?
Yeah. And I mean, the one thing I got to give FLG credit for is they try really hard to do as well as they can. And hey, look, as someone who's made a bajillion player packets over the years, typos happen in them, errors happen in them. You have 2 people proofread it. Everybody misses something. And then one of your judges goes, hey, you guys said you were doing this and it's not in there. And somebody goes, oh crap. And they fix it. But you just got to make sure. And like, I tell everybody this, and I'm going to tell all 3 people that hear this because none of them read the player packet most of the time. Although Ogden did message me on actually reading the player packet, which I was impressed with.
Look at you go, Tommy.
Yeah. I made
just
a commitment. Well, hold on. I made a commitment that I would start reading these things because somebody, I'm not going to name a name, in this channel, it's like, you're a big idiot. Read these packets from now on.
This is true.
Yeah.
And I did change on that. I have to admit, because I used to not ever. One of my favorite games ever is still Daniel Hesselberg from Sweden. We're playing the last game at Adepticon. Whichever one of us, wins goes to the top there. And Curtis walks by, looks at our table, looks at us, and he goes, hey, what's going on? I'm like, well, it's this super exciting because Daniel's about to, if he makes this charge, he basically can flip the game and he's going to win by 1. But if he doesn't make it, I win. And we're like, and he goes, oh, that's super exciting and super cool. He goes, you guys know that you're not playing the mission, right? And we're like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, I know that you're not playing the mission because you have too many objectives on the board because it's not a 6 objective mission. Also,
Strong.
from the way that you guys are deployed, I'm pretty sure you're also not in the right deployment zone. And we're like, we liked our mission better. You go away.
I mean, there was a tournament me and you played, Brad, where they were making like these homebrew missions, and we were playing, and we're like, these missions are not very enjoyable because they were just like weird. And Brad's like, you want to just roll for missions? Like, yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, that is true. I was like, this mission's dumb. Let's just play a real
as a
game.
TO, screw you. But as a player, have fun.
So I want to go into the next thing though, is painting Rubrics while we're talking about LVO. So before we discuss how many their package worth, I know Brian, you already probably know this, and TJ might. Brad definitely doesn't. But
TJ, answer this in chat.
how many points? Because you think they don't count the final 8, so they're not the last 3 matches. So you're only going to count the first 6 for your battle points, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a possible 600 points you get.
Yep.
How many points do you think the painting rubric should award compared to a 600-point event?
So are we doing this?
Oh my God, that is so completely opinion though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
no,
It's
curious.
100%. So are we talking about for best overall or for winning the tournament? Are we talking for hobby track?
What? You just did a belt sander go off? What the hell just
No,
happened?
no. For some reason, my phone that's on Do Not Disturb, a call came through.
Nice. It's very important.
And your ringtone is a belt sander.
My ringtone is a wrestler's theme song. But anyway.
So yeah.
So if your biggest award is best overall, it should be worth probably 2 games. If you're just doing hobby track scoring for ITC, probably value at 1 game. It's very subjective. I've had events that I've ran where it's been worth 1/3 of the points. I've had events where I've done it and it's worth 10% of the points. It just depends on what you want that event to be.
And this feels really weird for me then, because I'm like, well, besides I got Brad here, so actually there's 2 of us, but I'm one of those people that like, I like pretty armies, but I don't really care if my stuff's pretty. I just want to play the game and do well. But even me, someone in the mindset that I love the game, the game aspect, not the hobby aspect. I still think best overall should be like 50% of your points. 50% of what's available in battle points should be available in your paint rubric. So it's like a third.
I think that I would go
50. I think 50 is too much.
I would go 20. I like 20.
No, I said 50% of your battle points available. So I'd make it your overall points would be 33%. So if you got 600 points worth of battle points available, I think you should get 300 as painting.
I mean, around
I could
there,
be on board with 25%.
Yeah, it's
at 33. I mean, it's subjectional a little bit one way or the other, but 25% I'm pretty good with.
I just think that overall needs to be a bigger thing. I hate the fact that it's hobby track. That just drives me crazy, by the way.
I also hate the fact that our hobby track is one of the most difficult hobby tracks to deal with.
We're not even that's literally a separate thing because people don't even want to do it. I'm saying that, like, why are we not doing an overall circuit? That should be a huge award, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. Dude, it's so hard to have a beautiful army and be good at the game at the same time. Because most people are usually
one of the things we were talking about recently, and this was amongst a bunch of hobby people. So there was the question of, should display boards be part of the hobby track for an international event? I've had it come up in judges chats. I've had it come up in player chats. I've had it come up in painting chats, all over the place, because LVO, people are traveling from all over the world. You either have to, if you want to be the hobby track guy, you have to ship a board in. You have to make it modular. You have to figure out a way to make a display board that travels. It is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
I think having display board part of your overall paint scores, it shouldn't happen. It should be in its own category, its own award.
Yeah, I actually like it because it really seals everything in. I don't know. It's a lot of flavor. But that used to be, I've been playing for forever. When Brian and I were playing in the beginning, that was just a must-have, man. That was just a check mark that you had to have. So I'm just kind of used to it. I understand that it's international travel now is more common, but I don't know. I just, as an old man looking back, I feel that you need that display board.
Yeah. For your regional events, like use the Du Bois as an example. Although it's not a regional event because we do draw quite a bit, but it's 100 people to 120 people event. The display board can be a little bit more. When you're talking 1,000-person event, that's where I start going, all right, yeah, you're drawing from everywhere.
But the thing is, I just don't get me wrong, I love display boards. I think they should be more incorporated. I think they should have their own prize category, and I think they should get a better price for allocated people who spend that much extra level of detail into it. Because people who put as much time in the display board to put as much time there as they do their army. So, but I think also you're trying to force a heavier cost on the player who wants to try to go for hobby track, but also can't afford to ship a massive display board, or at least risk shipping it and it get destroyed.
But you should at least I can understand having literally a separate award for awesome display board. Got it. But if you're looking to get an overall title, you should at least have a display board for me.
Well, it should also look, it should be thematic with your army. It doesn't need to be running water with a fucking fog machine. Like,
You don't have to give them a huge score for a display board, but you should at least check that the display board has paint on it and it looks like the rest of the army.
Or you do what some of the best players in the country do, and they just walk over and take someone else's display board when they're not there.
No.
Now, let us talk about the actual rubric, because I am someone who is very curious to hear everybody's thoughts about this. I am going to tell you already, not a fan of this rubric at all.
What is the rubric? Send me the link.
So
I'll just go to it.
It's rough. It's literally just
where is it on, though?
It's on Frontline Gaming's front page. It's on their page. It's on their final update. They talk about it. But basically, the gist of it is a yes awards you 2 points for the question answered, and a no awards you 0 points. And then at the bottom, they have so they have the bottom. If you receive 30 or more points on that top part, you get an extra 10 points for your army being advanced. Then after that, there are bonus points as well that can total 40. Now, as someone, and I'm sure Matt Aaron, who is someone who wins quite often, best painted, best overall.
He paints?
You know, yeah. The man paints. The man can paint. I'm sure he's going to be frustrated about this as well, because this is one of the most vague rubrics I've ever seen in my life. And we talk about painting quite often. Himself and other people in the community talk about how, Brian will also echo this, how painting is subjective. That's great, but I need somewhere to basically be able to at least have a direction.
This is where I can weigh in on this one a little bit more. So last year they used my Du Bois rubric, which is a subjectional rubric. It has ranges, it has points, and multiple times people judged the same army, and there was a 20-point difference between them, and they wanted to try and eliminate that amount of variance, from what I understand, from things by giving yes, no. This is for a yes, no rubric. It's a good yes, no rubric. I actually think they put a lot of time and effort and thought into it. And no, not just because I help Frontline out with events. I actually think they put quite a bit of time into this, to where they thought about, all right, how can we have a yes, no checkbox thing where it's not just straight 100% straightforward, where there's a little bit of subjection. So I think they did a good job with it. I have to see it in practice before I can say, hey, look, I'm sold on this. It's great. Will I use this locally? Probably not for my GTs and stuff like that, because I like my rubric, is what it is.
As I'm putting the rubric over all of your faces right now, so sorry guys, but
I'm not. Listen, just to be clear before you finish, Brian, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm not upset about the top part. I'm upset about the bottom part. 40 points is a lot. That's the exact same amount of points you get for having the army up top as you get on bottom. Like, I'm okay with bonus points, like, judge's discretion, 20 points. That's fine. But like, half of your score can just be, I gave him a 30. It looked cool.
That's the current one, Brad.
It just looked cool. I gave it to him. That is not the current one, buddy.
ah,
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's like an old one.
dude,
Can you send it to you, Brad?
you Googled it.
You Googleized it? Don't you Googleize, bro?
You gotta love the fact that Brad's like so proud of.
I was. They're putting up that incorrect information. This is literally from their site.
Sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, Brad, I'm sending you over the photos now.
Oh man.
Oh no,
I want to chime in a little bit here. I actually agree with Brian on this. I think for them trying to take the subjectivity out of it is actually a smart move. Just for the fact that I've seen that at tournaments when they have a very opinionated rubric, and then you get 3 different judges, and they give wildly different scores. I mean, for example, we looked at MCM this year, and we had one which was designed to give, if you were like battle painted, just the standard, you get 100 points. Just basically the way it's worded, you get 100 points, and you get up to 200. And we had 3 judges, and I was one of them, and we all had drastically, wildly different scores than each other. Mm-hmm. Like, I was always tend to be on like the higher end. Somebody was always in the middle.
Fine.
And then
Covering you guys up. These are the things. You know what? Tom talked crap to me. He's getting covered.
Please and thank you. I think if we're taking it,
you're also talking about the logistics of doing a fully subjectional paint scoring, right? Where people come up, bring you their army, put it down, you judge it. When you're talking 1,000 players and half the field want a paint score, wow, that's going to take time. Even just doing 100 people, it takes hours and hours to do it. Judges walk around. They have to chase people, they have to chase down and get the scores in and do everything. It'd be different if, like, one of the things that I can say is if I was the guy running the painting rubric in LVO, I would just want a station where it's like me, one other guy, you bring your army up, you plunk it down in front of us, we go through, okay, you're good, move on.
Well, that's what they did last year. You had to bring it up to the front last year, if you remember.
Yeah.
They were
That's
like,
not true.
you bring it up to the front or you don't get judged. That's how it is.
Right.
So
But
one,
I would actually like a spot where people, I don't want to say stand in line, but that's the best way to put it is you bring your army up, put it down. And there's somebody there pretty much the first 3 rounds of the day. If you didn't get judged, you have this one last chance from, let's say, 8 to 9 o'clock at night to bring it over and get judged. And then that's it. It's over and done.
Threw it on the
So-
ground.
two things real quick. One, I will say, and I'll just give permission, it was Heidi, amazing painter, but the most harsh critic you ever get to judge. But she did judge 200 players in one day, which was pretty impressive.
Was she holding people's noses on their painting? Look at this! Look at this!
Yeah. Oh man, it was rough. Like I think the average score I gave her was like 140, and she was like 42. And I'm like,
People are
"Oh, no,
crying.
100 points between us."
Your family's
Well,
disappointed when you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I also don't like the questions that are in here. They're very much like,
I mean,
like competitive questions. Like, where is this one? The bottom one. No modeling for advantage is evident. Flying units glued to the ground at inappropriate height in the basing. And then up top is basically the same other question. Are the models, including conversions, appropriately scaled for game purposes? In other words, models are not modeled for advantage. Those should not be rubrics in a painting rubric. That's a judge thing. That's completely separate. That should not be on a painting rubric. That painting is supposed to be subjective.
And on this one, this is where I get to go hobby track.
So also last year, and I want to put it out there.
Although it's a painting rubric, and I agree with you, TJ, that I don't like those couple things in there. As someone who judges painting, there are times where I look at a conversion and go, you clearly just converted that to gain an advantage. And I don't give as many conversion points for that. So they put that in here for that ability to ding people.
I mean, it's on there in 3 different parts, man. I mean, it's on there for basing, models, and then in the assembly is no unapproved proxies. Like, that shouldn't be in there anyway. You should be pulling models if they're not approved. That's just how that goes.
yeah, but like, I love conversions. As someone that can't see colors very well, I'm all about the conversions.
Dude, you are not gonna get me to tell you that I don't like conversions. But like, if we're going to an event, the competitive aspect is you have to get it approved. If that's how it's going to be, that's how it
So
be.
let's look at, I'm going to bring up a player here that, is an amazing painter, does a lot of stuff. One Nova is painting, Dave Koska.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Dave Koska, I think, has possibly most converted army I've ever seen. Maybe Matt Aaron and him are in the same vein of amounts of conversions. But his stuff, there's times where like he sent me a model going, I need this conversion approved for X. And I go, doesn't even come close. I was like, no, why not? I can't even tell what gun that has. Like, there's not even a hint of what that was. It doesn't look to scale or anything else. And he goes, oh, I need to fix it. And then he fixes it, sends it back, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the right gun. Thanks, can tell what it is. When you have to spend 20 minutes telling your opponent what your army looks like, and like that Doomcrawler has this and that and this and that, because you can't look and tell clearly what a gun is, that's where conversions get a little tough.
I get you on that, but I don't know. Rule of cool just really applies. So as long as you're not trying to model for advantage, I'm all in on conversions. Like, don't, have a Wraith Knight that's smaller than a Rhino, but, don't be, be on the right size base and shit like that. But I'm a huge fan of conversions. I get it. Just
I hate them. I can't. I never convert anything in my army.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you get no points on that. But like, I mean, I feel like the rule is just don't be a dick on your conversions.
Sure. I'm just saying that I think this rubric is a like Brian kind of said, this is a rush rubric. This is a rubric that's designed to go.
I didn't say it was rushed. I just think that
I mean rush, like you're doing 100 people in the span of 30 minutes. I'm not saying that them building it was rushed, but like This is designed to check boxes in a matter of 5 minutes, and then later on come back and do the extra 40 points that are subjective stuff. So a lot of, and then you go, okay, cool. On to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one, which is fine. I just think some of these questions are very clear.
Well,
like
let's go
to
the wall real quick, because I think Andy's thinking we're saying something else. He goes, but that's an issue. Only super OG players will know it's X weapon versus Y. The big thing is that it has to be WYSIWYG so that you know what's actually happening to you. So you can actually know what model and what gun's shooting at you. It's not so much as like, it's got to be the perfect thing. And to be fair, I don't even care if you have the right gun if everybody has the same thing. Like if you made whatever your conversion is, if you have 3 Riptides and they're all armed the same and you made them all Frost Giants, I don't know, whatever you made them, you know what I mean? I don't really care as long as they're the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like one of the things that I always used to, as a judge is, well, do you really have to enforce WYSIWYG? Yes, because if you show up and you're putting the army out and your opponent looks at it and goes, oh yeah, I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that is. And then you roll up and you have, 5 Harlequins with, shuriken pistols, and you go, oh, well, those are fusion pistols. And the guy goes, well, I told you I knew what the model was. You could have said, oh yeah, but that has fusion pistols. It can cause a moment of, well, fuck, and some bad feels, which none of us really want to give to another player. So the ability to have WYSIWYG there, it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
If you're playing your buddies on a Tuesday night and you're going, hey guys, I'm trying this unit out. All these guys don't have assault bolters. They have heavy bolt pistols or whatever the hell it is. Great. But when you show up to an event, you should have everything armed correctly.
Yeah.
But how are you going to just make things up and not get what you need for the situation? It just seems like a horrible strategy not to do that. What if I need a fusion pistol in one game, but a plasma in the next game, or a chainsaw? Or maybe I want this to be Gilman this turn, but next game I want him to be Angron.
Yeah,
get better for the same points.
So I guess since we're basically at the end here, what I'll sum up for everyone who hasn't read the packet, if you're going to LVO,
do you want me to put him out there again?
Please read
hold
the
on.
packet.
I'm covering Tom up again.
All right, and then the second thing I'll tell you is if you're in the hobby track and you're trying to do well at this event with your painting, you should read the rubric. And then the third and final thing I'll say is if you're going to go to the event and you've got conversions and you have proxies, you better fucking get them approved, because they will walk over your table and they will pull them.
Yeah,
I promise.
It's real hard to win games if they just pull your models off the board.
Also, what's really important is if you're watching this, please like and subscribe, because it helps us out a lot. And we never say that ever. We never say we're horrible at this.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, talk about us. And then come down for the Thursday where you see Brad get drunk. And Brian is going to do some drinking too.
Brian got yelled at. He's in timeout.
I got yelled. I got told I drank too much.
All right. That's the kind of show we need around here.
Messaged me to ask something. And she messaged me at the beginning of the thing, and I go, I don't know what we're doing. I think we're free that night. And then halfway through, I was like, drunk Brian remembered that his wife told him that she didn't want to do anything that night. And I replied, I think she has plans. So Brian commented.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, guys. I think that's everything, guys. Thanks everybody for watching.
All of the things, some of the stuff, everyone.
Have a good one.